like to welcome the governor's representative, Ms. Vicenta Del Gomes, the appointee, Mr. 62K Gusumar, elected officials, dignitaries, and members of the general public. Before we proceed forward with this public hearing, let me first introduce the members of this standing committee. To my right is the floor leader of the Senate, Senator Dauno Manglonia from the 3rd Senatorial District. And next to him, joining us this afternoon is the chairman of the Fiscal Affairs and the chairman of the Tina delegation, Senator Judolph Snyder. Another member of the EAGI is Senator Castro from the 3rd Senatorial District. And next to him is Senator Calvo from the 1st Senatorial District. And I'm the chairman of this committee, Senator Cruz from the 2nd Senatorial District. I would also like to announce a couple of things in the interest of informational purposes regarding code of conduct during this public hearing. Today, the members of this standing committee of the AGI is conducting a public hearing on the appointment of Mr. 62K Igusumer to serve as a secretary of the Department of Public Land. The public will be invited to make comments as to whether you support or oppose the appointee before us this afternoon. We value your input. However, any comments beyond the facts of the appointee or comments that are not directly related with this public hearing will not be entertained. And such comment will be removed from the record. At the same time, please observe minimal noises in disrupting this hearing process. Please turn your electronic to a silent mode. Thank you. Let us now begin. This public hearing is now in session. Today is May 9, 2025 at approximately 4:02 in the afternoon here at the courthouse, Tinian, San Jose Tinian. This public hearing is regarding the appointment of Mr. Sixto Kegusumer by Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Public Land. Mr. Devin Macaronas will be assisting, joining us with the Senior Admin Assistant, Ms. Tagabel, Jolene Tagabel. Sergeant Arm will be Benter Lahi. Jorgo Moody's will be our legal counsel, and IT is Mr. Jonathan Diaz, and will all serve accordingly for this public hearing. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Macaronas to call the roll, please.
Senator Ronnie M. Calvo,
President.
Senator Manny T. Castro,
Estiga.
Senator Francisco Q. Cruz,
Here.
Senator Carl R. King Neighbors, Senator Karina L. Magofnia, Senator Donald M. Manglonia.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, there are 4 members present and 2 members absent.
Thank you, Senator or Vice President of the Senate, and also the Vice Chairman of this committee, Senator Neighbors, will be joining us shortly. However, with 5 members or 4 members at this time present, we have the necessary number to proceed with this public hearing. At this time, do I hear a motion to adopt our agenda?
So moved.
Any second? There's a motion and was seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to invite the governor's rep and appointee to the podium, please. And ma'am, before you introduce the appointee to this committee, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Holiday to Chairman Francisco Q. Cruz and the honorable members of the EAGA committee. For the record, my name is Vicenta Villagomez, the Tinian representative under the Office of the Governor. On behalf of Honorable Governor Arnold I. Palacios and Honorable Lieutenant Governor David M. Aptang, I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I'm pleased to introduce the nomination of Mr. Sixto K. Gisomor to serve as the Secretary of Department of Public Lands. By this time, you should have received his resume, which outlines his professional experience and education. Mr. Gisomor is a distinguished former senator who has held key positions including Secretary of the Department of Public Lands, Secretary of Commerce, and president and business owner. He possesses extensive experience in both public and private sectors, which he brings to his significant role within the government. Mr. Gasomar is committed to enhancing the efficiency and responsiveness of the CNMI Department of Public Lands, ensuring that the interests of the Northern Marianas descent remains the primary focus of the agency. Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Aptang place their full trust and confidence in Mr. Gisomor to serve as the Commonwealth Secretary of Department of Public Lands. I know he stands ready to answer your questions as well as share his plans. His leadership, his work ethic, and his ability to work well with others will make the department better and the Commonwealth more efficient. Thank you, Sidus Masis and Giliso, for the opportunity to introduce him to this august body. We also thank you for your leadership in providing an opportunity for our people on all three senatorial districts to listen and participate in your deliberation of critical positions for our Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Villagomez. And before I go any further, I would like for the record that Senator Corina Magofnia is excused for this public hearing. At this time, I would like Mr. Macaronis to please, and Mr. Do, Mr. Guzman, can you stand and raise your right hand?
Mr. 62K Gisomar, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Macaronis. And Mr. Guzman, I know that you have submitted all required documents by this body. Or do you have anything else that you wish to share with us? You have the floor, but please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, I believe I sent the only other items we did was submitted an email. And if it's a good time, I can read an introductory statement for today. Hafade, Me Tiro, Honorable Francisco Cruz, Chairman, and our Vice Chairman, Carl King Neighbors, and all the member senators. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. It is truly an honor to be considered for reappointment as Secretary of the Department of Public Lands. I am grateful to the Governor, the Honorable Arnold I. Palacios, and Lieutenant Governor, the Honorable David M. Apatang, for their confidence in me, and I am deeply humbled by the responsibility this office carries. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge our Honorable Edwin Piaudan, Mayor of Tinian and Aguiguan, the Tinian delegation, the Municipal Council, and the beautiful people of Tinian. Thank you for your gracious hospitality as always. The stewardship of our public lands under Article 11 of the Commonwealth Constitution and codified under PL 15-2 and other subsequent laws and regulations is a fiduciary responsibility owed first and foremost to the people of the Northern Mariana descent. This responsibility requires us to prioritize the allocation of homestead lots and the management of public lands for their direct benefit, while protecting the long-term sustainability and integrity of these lands for future generations. As Secretary, and if confirmed by this body, August body, my focus remains on ensuring that the public land entrusted to the department are administered with transparency, fairness, and accountability, emphasizing the core purposes of homestead distribution, land stewardship, and compliance with the mandates set forth in law. I recognize that public lands are not only a resource but also a legacy for the indigenous people of the Northern Marianas, and that our decisions must honor both present needs and the rights of generations to come. I am committed to working closely with the Senate, the people, and all stakeholders to improve access to homestead opportunities, strengthen stewardship and management practices, and ensure that public land leases are administered with equity and in alignment with constitutional directives. I look forward to your questions and to discuss how we can continue to uphold this sacred trust for the benefit of the Northern Marianas Descent community and the Commonwealth. So just Masi, thank you, Hiliso.
Seasons Masi, Mr. Gusumo. And before I recognize the members of the Republic, whether you wish to come forward and give testimony, first I would like to recognize those entities that are invited to participate from the Department of Public Land, Resident Department Head, Ms. Bernadita San Nicolas. And then, Director, before we proceed, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and members of this committee. For the record, my name is Bernadita San Nicolas, and I'm here today on behalf of the staff of Tinian BPO District Office, where I serve as director. I have submitted my written testimony in full support of the governor's appointment of Mr. Sixto Gisomor for Secretary of the Department of Public Lands. Given Mr. Iguizomor's extensive qualification and experiences, both in the private and government sectors, I think it's unnecessary to reiterate the contents of that statement. Instead, I respectfully ask this committee for your full consideration and support in recommending his confirmation to the full Senate. Thank you for your consideration and continued support.
Thank you, Director. Next on the list, the Honorable Mayor Edwin Piedon from the municipality of Tinian and Agiguan.
Half a day and good afternoon, Tiro, Mr. Maymay. Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the Executive Appointments and Government Investigations Committee, thank you for convening today's confirmation hearing and for affording me the opportunity to provide my testimony in support of Mr. Sixto K. Gisomor's reappointment as Secretary of the Department of Public Lands. Mr. Gisomor brings with him a wealth of public service experience and institutional knowledge that continues to benefit the department and the people of the Commonwealth. As a former senator, a former Secretary of Commerce, as well as through his prior roles as insurance commissioner and a trustee of the Northern Marianas Island Retirement Fund, Mr. Gisomor has long demonstrated a deep understanding of the responsibilities entrusted to public servants. His prior confirmation and current service as Secretary of the Department of Public Land have only further validated his capability, leadership, and professionalism in this role. Over the course of his tenure, Mr. Gisomor has worked to strengthen the department's operations and fulfill its core mission of managing public lands in accordance with Public Law 15-2 and Article 11 of the Sinimay Constitution. This includes the administration of homestead programs for the Northern Marianas Descent beneficiaries and the broader responsibility of updating the comprehensive land use plan to guide the use, development, and disposition of public lands across the Commonwealth. For the island of Tinian, these responsibilities are of particular importance. With the majority of the land area under federal lease, the careful management of remaining public land is vital to our island's development and the well-being of our people. Mr. Gisomor has shown a willingness to engage with local leadership and the community stakeholders to support ongoing projects, including the Castillo Agricultural Homestead and the proposed new village homestead at Marpu Heights. And these are critical efforts that we hope to see that continued under his leadership. Also, I wanted to mention that prior to him, his last tenure, I remember that he did bring back to the table the homestead for the Barranca homestead up there in Morpo Valley. And that alone is an additional 130 plus homestead lots for our people. Throughout our collaboration, Mr. Gusumo has demonstrated diligence, responsiveness, and a sincere commitment to serving the people of the Commonwealth. He approaches each challenge with focus and resolve, and I have every confidence that he will continue to lead the department with integrity and purpose. I respectfully urge members of this committee to give full consideration to Mr. Gusumo's qualification and experience, and to recommend his confirmation to the full Senate for their full approval. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you again for having this hearing on Tinian. Susmas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now I would like to recognize the members of the 20th Tinian Municipal Council. Anyone from that? If not, at this time, I would like to open the floor for the members of the general public to participate. But again, I would like to remind everyone that any comments that are not directly related with this public hearing, we will not entertain them and we will remove them from the record. At this time, I would like to open the floor for public comment. And before anyone wishes to deliver testimony, whether you're in support or not, please state your name for the record. Thank you.
My name is David Mindiola Evangelista Jr. I am no stranger to the legislature. I used to work for Mr. Sixto at the legislature too, as a former employee by you, Mr. Chairman, on executive appointments and government investigation and confirmation and law. I am pretty much, I think the two gentlemen here are new to the Senate. My name is David Mindiola Evangelista again. And Mr. Donald, Senator Donald Maglonia, I know him from the House, and former Senate President, and the Vice Chairman King back there. First of all, I'm in full support with Senator Sixto, former senator, for the for his appointment to the for Secretary of Public Lands. Although, unfortunately, I have some. Well, I should not mention this, but I used to be a former advisory board for the DPL. So, as the Tinian leadership notices, I do diligent to the full of my extent, to my knowledge, and did a lot of research. And I always go back to the table and inform them of what's really going on in the DPL, cinema-wide. Although, you know, when you're an advisory board, there's not much teeth there for you to move on, unless you have to reverse back again to your leadership, and the leadership have the authority to go upon whatever is the obstacle the secretary is, because the buck stops at the secretary. Because if we put it as a governing board, I don't have to keep reversing back to the Senate body to go chew on the secretary. Long story short, that's the past. We're moving on now. But I did my best, and I represented the CNMI 100% under oath. I am part of the 15-2, limited only to the homestead and residential homestead. Regarding the lease at the Department of Public Lands, I have no say-so due to 15-2. So I did due diligence on the Marple Heights Expansion 3. The A&E design is all done. Now, my comment for today, Mr. Chairman, is who is responsible for infrastructure funding? When you have a program, it has to come with funding, infrastructure funding. You don't have a program, and then when you're done with your program, the A&E design, we're pointing fingers, who's going to build the infrastructure, and then they dump it over to the municipality of Tinian and Agiguan to do the road. Now it's like hiring an electrician to do a carpentry job. The mayor cannot do everything at one time. Even as we speak, Nita Falmatu Batu Masyamanu na Klobus, the municipality of Tinian and Nagwiguan, or Saipan municipality, or Rota municipality, Pro Sinegi Chalan. What about the other agencies that you have in place, like public works? Pues basta sa tanay bati mayor todo ni public works. Jani DNR, Zagwiza basta todo chogi parks and recreation. So we have agencies that are not functioning in this, like Kim King Eins said, self-inflicted efficiency gyalong jota sinamay government, Mr. Chairman, problema izota agency, departments. We always come to the table to give them budget. At the end of the day, they don't get it. Even as we speak, scorching heat, dan terrain, ansinya matupagan ni ATV. Debi du fatto magi lo kitinian, Mr. Secretary, ni ATV, ti parapagan at sinya. Datafan pareo, we call it CNMI, un corazon, un familia. CNMI. Basta matsuli magi zan dam to di man basula gini papa zaman mazulang gini tinian. Malah sabi na amzuna na example. Ini di bardi. Ini di bardi zaman mazulang na pas kinungkaw. Tafan pareo lah. Sa one CNMI tagan este. Tisinya, por favor, na i-major para giza lamon produti basula. Pocho gitsalan. Luman mapunta siya na direktor. Gikada agency debi di function gue zo manay sa lapi. Ena jan si Jus Masi.
Mr. Majalista, still open for public comment.
For the record, my name is Jose M. De La Cruz. I am the chairman for the Tinian Cattlemen's Association, as well as chairman for the Soil and Water Conservation for Tinian and Agiguan. I am here to proudly support the confirmation of our wonderful appointee. I want to thank the governor for appointing the former Senator Igisomar for this position. Is no stranger to this agency. I am a pro food security advocate for the cinema. I've been the chairman for Tinian Cattlemen's Association since 2009, 2010 to be exact. And I've been trying my very best to advocate for the ranchers. And when I heard about this appointment, I was really excited because Mr. Gusomar is really familiar with this particular area. I'm also pleased that some of the members of the legislature are beginning to see that we have to go back to basic. When I say basic, going back to the land and try to capitalize on trying to help our community review a robust food security economy. There's a lot of multitude of issues that we have to bring to the table, and I'm very pleased because just last week alone, I see some committees looking into water rates and whatnot, and the economy is at its worst right now, and as a rancher, I'm very fortunate that some of us ranchers, not all of us, but some of us ranchers can avail to the USDA in the Farm View program that is coming from the federal government. But at the same time, also some of our ranchers are situated in the military property. We've been working with Department of Defense to try to come to an agreement to do a joint use agreement for the ranchers. Unfortunately, with the help with the Tinian leadership, Mayor Adan, and all the members of the delegation, we managed to convince, along with the governor, of course, we managed to convince DOD. And finally, last year in August, the U.S. Department of Navy extend the needed help that we need for those ranchers to qualify for this federal assistance. I think the only bottleneck that we have at this point in time is the administrative portion of this property that are in question. Um, we did discuss this with the former secretary, Secretary Santos, and I think there's a little bit of technicality. But I want to, again, one more time, ask our secretary to look into it and try to work as fast as possible because just this month we were again one more time given the opportunity to avail to the drought disaster assistance relief, and I already got the assistance. Me personally, because I'm situated in the public land, but most of our fellow ranchers that are situated outside the public land area under the DLD land agreement, they cannot avail to the program up to now. So I am pleading uh, here to you, Secretary, and also to the legislature to continue to please provide with a clear understanding coming from a rancher and coming from the association that the state government at this time is burdened with a lot of financial difficulties. And because of that, I think we can take full advantage of this USDA aid that is coming towards uh, this part of the region. Now, if you are a private landowner, you can qualify automatically. If you're situated in a public land, if you have a 5-year lease, you can qualify right away. But it all boils down to control of land. So I'm very optimistic and I'm very happy that um, finally we're getting the green light from the U.S. Department of Navy for us to join use this land that has been sitting up there in the military property. So again, one more time, also I would like to mention that there's one rancher here, Mr. Tom Fleming. I don't know whether he's going to come up and testify. I think he's having a little bit of problem with his land lease. I don't know whether he's going to testify in front of you or he's going to talk to the secretary after the hearing. Again, I ask for your support on his confirmation because I believe that we have a lot of work to do ahead of us. Thank you. Sa undang ko na sa susmasi.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Is still open for public comment?
Buenas tardes dan saludo para si Chairman Cruz dan ni membro ng Estina Committee. For the record, guahu si Lucia Manglonia Borja. Hunahalong footmat nakata na ho supopota si Mr. Sixto Igisomar para ho sekretaryon i Departamentong Tano Publiko dan descendensyan iman marekognisa na tautaw not ti Marianas. Pazunzu umagan si Mr. Igisomar 6 sa Kulanse Luhu. Zanggingwa na huagang 6 ti kumikalag niya na tumatay respetuzo lo en nagwipazonho. Bula tumungo na ginin sa menadot zangginin un tiempo hago ti estina puesto i sekretaryon i Departamentong Tano Publiko. Ginin esti taza dinidaho na tadong kinempendenya hafa ginagagaw como makonfirma nagwiza para ho responsable zaning katgaw para ho maneha itano publiko. Uno na asunto malagozo para by ho malagozo na ho ina si Mr. Igisomar motsumas i asunton infrastructure. Antes di van marifa hujung tanu guma, tanu walu, preciso nagwaha serbisyong kandit zan hanum. Kosaki hazi listo para hufan hatsa o sino para hugwalu, esta gaigi estina infrastructure. Gitempoku anay mapitmitizo para bay hufan hatsa gi halum 3 años, gwaha hanum lo taza kandit, Jan kulan okso kat baryo italan para gimaho. Bula man mamahan genereta sa taja servisyon kandit para itilumangat ipresyon genereta pues falut jan dongis. Makat kululo niya jan gingwaha famagoon mo mandikiki da maniskwela. Humaaligo impenyo za hugwaha inaturisan muna sangin salapi ginini commercial leasing dan otusya na fees para infrastructure. Za basta hit na para tasigya o madibina hodzi ay responsibilidad. Personalmente, ileko na obligasyon IDPL, STE infrastructure tat kumuihanum, elektrisidad, zanitsalan. Gibandan iprograma ni homestead, zan pangwaluan. Zangin magahit naman sincero hit na todo'y tano publiko pana beneficyon itaw tano eleko na propyo ST igaston infrastructure. Tutuhon umafamaulik kami zan si 6 desde 1985 anay magradua ami Marianas High School. Pareho na kuleho na yung eskwela ham. Zampot para ba infanlibyano gi apas guma manhami manyaga. Si 62, this the Hopwood, he's always been number 2 in the class of 87. Ari matu esti baban mata dan masuksog inintinian hubam to down, down to number 3. Pues I think it was out of curiosity that we became really good friends. Toza na uman na bubu, man ana na bubu hami o sino man anak piniti hami. Ginin esti na inafamaulik leku na kapos para bay huina isensyon niya. Menhalum zan onimo. Todun menghalum niya za kontodo izun mommy philosophy professor guaha na hanabulosu todo ilunya. Pasensya zangusenya ni na toliko kipara ni na bubu. Zo asi zangay konsensya. Esta guisia na sensya mu representa todo iminaulik gihalom komunidad zani tauta. When discussing selection of job applicants, where I work at DCCA, I, along with my RD, believe that teachable skills can be developed over time. What we prioritize most are signs of strong character that are deeply rooted in the individual. And this, for sure, I know is ingrained in Mr. Igisomor. Pud ottimo ni hafa taimano milalate mo o sino megay salapi mo gianay taza sensyamo manazuda pues taza setbem mo. Fit mi nangukoko gias Mr. Igisomor nakapas para husetbi itaw to Marianas. Si Zeus masin ni tempon mizo za hupapaisin hamzo ni konsiderasyon dan motu itempo gianay pareng confirma. Si Zeus masi dan enjoy tano mommy tano ta.
Marcia, Mrs. Bora. Still open for public comment? Anyone else?
Good afternoon, no, Chairman John Rice, no, member. Sa pagpata si former government senator, no, kung ano po na-confirm Yo, malago pa if I said no, tamano na siya naluda yung rancher. Yun tinyan. Tinyan, bura tano. Nakaraman na napikam. Ni toto tano no, ni rancher no, nasawanyam na tisinya sa para investor. Logi maka debi natan para publiko debi nastun adura no de toto tano para na. Pes bigyan na biya lukil inji to puba farman nakila tano pa binakila. Linya na no
Pumana fore toto sanizun lo iransus mana permananga. Da pulana tano man matatatsu nga ti man mapapatsa da konto ba na investors bar maktu magi. Sa pago tao investors mahalom. Le iransus na pero ako sekretaryo tumano plano mo panihan ni gini lansero. Tinian bulan no ranchers manasita no pumababa ko niya. Está agas mga ram for 55 years. Taro mo niya. Está di 55 years de bumulag waka una sita lugar. Pes an mamaysan lugar. Tada no kompo lo bulan tano. Wa sinya impejan sinya ajurajam lukki. Anggi matatatsunga tano. Mai sansa bin kalui or bin kollat sa ti mana sa serbi. Atan no sa presiso prami gini ni man pasatay. No estialat sa masongan yun na ang mamaysunong lugar na tisinya sa no iwarat tibo. No manatan iwarat matulista studadista. Molika siya mapasahi. Siya homestead. Lo timana si sibi tano do mamayso ko sibi na sibi sinyon. Pausa no ya estao no no. Iwaka po sutsu pao ko te gupa. Pes muso masangonyo nagpaun lugar mababa manaizo. Ano waksa masangonyo na tisinya pa binus to waksa to panatan. Tisinya sa investor po suli. Tamani man lala ni to tano ni timana fofona to tano da investors to pao ka na tano matatatsu nga. Sotta man ni amin ni lansero bin kollata da angin makti investors no. Itangan-tangan po sufa ti kelat. Pwede di kelat disper na bin lalanus. Mano po na sabi bin kelat tatin niya masaya. Atan yun sa ano preciso si amin ni man pasatay. Agon. No. Esto tumo masangon yun pa binaswa to di ko lang sa ano timanaasan sa pa binaswa ni timafatiwag waka. Matatatsu kayo tano. Tano. Estamos ni waka o polo ram tagato pa ako sa manyo tutsu. Este na dry pa ako pang po dry. Tawani man ako mo nin tano. Devi asuli mali preto tano. Dispensado no esta pa sana na. Lo usap patah na po patatsung juajuran wajure okay no. Thank you.
Sus Mosia, Mr. Fleming. Still open for public comment.
Buenas tardes, Mr. Chairman and members of EAGI, and welcome to Tinian para senadotan ni manginin saipan dan luta. Mr. Chairman, no mapipirzo giminan mizo pabefaisina consideration mizo na por favor ko sinya inai ni zon mizo advice and consent si Mr. Secretary Mr. Gisomar sto mofo na si Mr. Gisomar zo sedbit como sekretaryo ni Departamento ni Public Lands sa tagay ma-mensiona gas former Senator de la Cruz na stagin na sedbis na department. Siguro zo na izo niya working relationship dan mo manenya tinian Department of Public Lands na Miss Bernie no San Nicolas dan izo niya staff esta man atungo man izo niya working relationship esta gaigi esta man apazuni pes siguro zo na zangin po fatto por bandan servicio sta libiano pomatsogi tetsunya por izo ta Public Lands gini kita tinan za por ano na motivo be faisinam do talo na por favor no ini zon mizo advice na kusenza in considera en confirmar que para a secretary. Si sus masis and buenas tardes tal.
Sus Mosia, Mr. San Nicolas. Still open for public comment.
Half a day and good afternoon, Chairman Cruz and members of the Senate EAGI Committee. For record purposes, my name is Melanie Cruz, a resident of Tinian and also a member of the DPO Advisory Board, representing the beautiful island of Tinian. It is an honor to address you today in strong support of the appointment of Mr. Sixto Gisomar, nominated by Governor Palacios to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Public Lands. I had the opportunity to work closely with Mr. Gasomar on public land matters before the term of former DPL Secretary Santos. Although his time as secretary was brief, his commitment to addressing DPL issues, both for our district and the CNMI as a whole, was profoundly evident. His responsiveness and proactive approach were very commendable. He consistently provided detailed reports during our meetings, welcomed input from all board members, and was transparent in supplying crucial information whenever needed. In my view, Mr. Gasomar embodies the qualities and, most importantly, the qualifications essential for the role of Secretary of the Department of Public Lands. Although his previous term was not long enough for him to achieve all his goals for strengthening the department, I firmly believe that confirming his appointment will enable him to realize his vision for the agency, its staff, and our communities. Therefore, I respectfully urge this esteemed body to confirm Mr. Gusomar's appointment as the next Secretary of DPL so he can effectively fulfill the mandates outlined in Public Law 15-2. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to present my testimony this afternoon. Sizus Masi.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Still open for public comment? Anyone else? No one else. Public comment is now closed. Devin, can you disclose the letter of support or not in support before I give the opportunity to the members?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Mr. Igisomar, and members of the general public. In addition to the oral testimonies received today on the executive appointment of Mr. Sixto Igisomar to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Public Lands, please be advised of two additional written testimonies officially received in support of the appointee from Lucia M. Borja and Marianne De Leon Guerrero Tudela, the chairwoman of the Saipan and Northern Islands Municipal Council. At this time, no written testimonies in opposition to the nominee's appointment have been received by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marcarnes. If no objection from the members, I would like to give the opportunity to our visitors from the island of Saipan and Rora so they can take the first opportunity to raise question or concern. Any objection? Okay. I would like to recognize Senator Castro from the 3rd Senatorial District, Saipan.
Chairman, thank you, and Secretary, thank you for flying over. I mean, we both have to do the same thing, but I also want to say thank you to Ms. Bernadita Borja for that statement. Borja, correct, no? San Nicolas Borja? Okay. I just needed to verify. But it's basically Frankly's mom, no? Okay. But that was a very good statement, especially in vernacular. It's very strong. And as a member of this committee, I just wanted to say, whoever takes this role, given the economic situation, we need someone that knows how to balance both the needs of the NMD and the needs of investment. And right now, DPL actually is one of the key departments that can help our economy, because that's the first thing an investor is looking for, land. But remember that investors are not only from off-island. Even our ranchers can be investors. If we can produce more, we can go into the beef industry, the pork industry, the poultry industry, and reduce our imports, that's going to help our GDP. Because GDP is imports, exports. So not just to export, but to reduce the import. So in line with the statements of the members of the community, I'm sure with Secretary Igisomar's background that, this type of caliber is what we really need for the department. So I just want to say thank you, Secretary, for considering the position, and I look forward to, your confirmation.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Now I would like to recognize Senator Ron Senator Castro, back to Senator.
And I just want to apologize for having to leave early because I have a parent summit tomorrow at Hopwood. Thank you.
Now back to you, Senator Cabo.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. And thank you to our representative. And we'd like to thank Governor Arnold and Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apateng for the reinstatement, the proposal for you to enter. As I'm scanning through your resume and everything, you've got the business aspect of it. You've got the prior legislative, perspective of things. We have the current testimony of, when I'm doing the calculation, 1.6 year. I mean, not enough time in Department of Public Land to continue, serving the people. Just with today's testimony and everybody, you have that familiarity. You've already know your clients, in regards to Saipan, I'm pretty sure, and all the other islands. So like Senator Manny mentioned, time is of the essence. We are in a dire need to say, hey, we need somebody that can best represent this department and the here and now, and understanding the ramifications. And I like the testimonies in regards to sustainability. Sustainability. Senator Hofschneider with some of the bills and the water situation, and trying to get the agricultural part where we are self-sustaining. And this is one of the factors, in regards to the public land aspect of it all. So, with all due respect, I'm really thankful for all the valued testimony here today. And, we do look forward in the decision making, in support of us moving forward. So we thank you, Mr. Sixto Igasomar, for, your reinstatement, and we make that decision. So thank you, Tinian. Thank you, Chair. And we look forward to, the decision needing to be made. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator Cabo. Now I would like to recognize Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Chairman Cruz. Buenas tardes para todos samduni man gaigi gini gi na junta, especialmente para ichiluta sa 6-2 Kaipan Igisomar. Thanks for making your way back again. Very quickly. I couldn't have said it any better with regards to many of all the testimony from the public, both from your department and of course the several other individuals that have expressed some asks and consideration. I appreciate also, and before I go further and just mention a couple of things, I want to thank Senator Cruz for allowing myself actually to sit in as a chairman of the delegation, not necessarily a member of the EAGI. That gave rise for not being roll call, but yeah, that's something that the chairman of the rules, which he chairs, allows for this particular scenario. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to reiterate some of the comments, please have a look at I saw President Joe De La Cruz just gave you that document, and that essentially gave rise to the 10-year window of opportunity for those ranchers that have been ranching up there to establish some sort of a land tenureship agreement, whereby it allows them to dial in to some of the USDA and RCS programs that would definitely help them navigate through with their operations, no? And number two is to express the consistency and recognize the efforts through the years. Not only just this leadership from Tinian, but even previous, we've always dreamed of having a sustainable beef industry. No, he needs I'm very proud to say that we've already have that in play. primarily with the permanent registry or certification of a modular unit slaughterhouse, which allows the cattle ranchers to bring their product there, get it screened, get it stamped, and off to the market for consumable items in the market. So, as you can see, Secretary, there's a lot of push on all angles, and sometimes, you've heard that statement for sometimes the cart is dragging the horse. So kind of like that situation, but sometimes it's that one is good, especially if I can attest to the entire leadership of Tinian right now that we are in full support of that venture. And before I depart from this statement, the reason why that I've always support food security and all that, but also more recently with the experience of the COVID-19 when our borders shut down, and the rationale behind that is, what if it shut down for 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, and there's no more food supply coming in? What are we gonna do with the 50,000 people? So that's why we continue to profess going back to the land, going back to the waters for fishing. But in this case, with the ranchers, and it's not just the ranchers, even other livestock producers, pork operators, poultry for that matter, and horticulture. So Torusi siya, no, Mr. Secretary, no, is an element for us to give us the appetite to keep supporting, no, going back to basics, ne. Um, Number two, thank you for being very aggressive with the distribution of homestead. It's the land cannot grow fast enough to accommodate everything, so it helps with your testimonial that you highlight that the distribution of homestead from Tinian and the remainder of the CNMI, and we just have to continue working through on some of the concerns that were raised with regards to the infrastructure. I believe we've overcome that with a cruise law, Senator Cruz, and but we need to continue on and try to facilitate that service to the public. And taza question na gizo mo qualification with regards to is the economic development. You've been in the legislature, you've seen the ups and downs. You've been a commerce secretary, you've seen the ups and downs, and now you're back at the second round, potentially second round at DPO. So we look forward to working with you in delivering services to our community. Again, thank you, Senator Cruz. I don't have a question to pose to the nominee, but I just wanted to air that suggestion. Jesus Masia, now you're back.
Thank you, Senator Snyder. Now I would like to recognize the Vice Chairman, Senator Carl Neighbors.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Acting Secretary Gilsomar. First of all, I'd like to thank you for accepting the appointment for the Secretary of Department of Public Lands. I think today's comments by the public, as well as the director, people who you've known a long time, the ranchers, the community at large, representing the second senatorial, has been a testament to their adoration and respect for your service and your capacity to serve as a secretary of DPL. It's very it's your attention to detail and your willingness to constantly communicate and dialogue with other entities, your own department, subordinates, the legislature. I mean, I know we've engaged. Some people here have talked about issues with homestead, infrastructure, funding, and you've been very aggressive and proactive in reaching out to us, the members of the legislature, in trying to figure out mechanisms and ways that we can both address that shortfall and gap in that process. And I want to thank you for that. Also, the fact that you're sitting there writing down all of the concerns as it goes down, as these people testify, is again a reflection of your personality and the makeup of who you are as an individual. I didn't get a chance to serve with you in the legislature, but I did get an opportunity to watch you serve. And in your short time as the secretary of DPL, all you did was reach out and try your best to help
all senatorial districts. So I fully support your appointment. I did want to just briefly ask a few questions that are general. They're not necessarily specific to the second senatorial, because obviously most of the community has already stated the biggest issues that are facing our community. No one better can state the problems than our public. And when people come in and engage in public discourse in the manner by which they have, there's no point for me to bring it up, because that you're hearing it directly from the people impacted by your decisions. Um, so being that you only had a short tenure, your first time around, can I ask, what are some of the things that you wish you could have accomplished the first time that you didn't get a chance to accomplish um, in the time that you had?
I thank you very much, Vice Chair, Senator Carr. The It's really the homesteads. The real estates are always there. There's people who come, we go, but it's really the issuance of all the permits for the homesteads, and at the same time, as was brought up by Ms. Lucia Borja Cruz, Borja, the she brought up respected infrastructure. I'm also guilty for messing that up. But yeah, infrastructure, that has always been a challenge. And, I'm not a lawyer, but I think we've had a discussion. So simply the question is, it's really the homestead, the issuance of permits. That's the thing. We have a mandate to issue public lands for homestead. And if I can't, and I'll be upfront, if I can't issue homesteads, then why do we need a secretary? You might as well remove the secretary and just have somebody run that operation under the governor's office. Otherwise we're wasting time. So I'm saying that because I don't need to be there if I'm just going to do something that I can't do. But homesteads, and yes, it's really important to have the infrastructure, and it's unfortunate at the same time that all these lawyers have messed up the whole situation with the court. And who's responsible for the infrastructure? Is it DPL? Is it, who? And then, but we all know the answers to those. So to me, it's really the fact that our people continue to have, and I'll say this, continue to have dirt floors. Not third floor, dirt floors. They continue to have that. And for me, I just hope that one day we can really actually give out these homesteads so that people can occupy them. All these other reasons that are coming up for lack of infrastructure, I just hope we can overcome that. But to go now, coming in, I've had this discussion with the governor and with the leadership of Tinian that I want to issue the permits with or without infrastructure. However, I just had a monkey wrench dumped into my mind when I heard comments about making sure that we don't forget. We can't just give the permits for the homestead. We need to make sure we get the infrastructures aligned, not just by the delegations, but through the CNMI. And after our meeting yesterday, I went ahead and initiated conversations yesterday and today with Department of Public Works and with CRM. I wanted these people to have a meeting with them, along with Mr. C. Gregorio Castro, IPEX. I've already called them up, and appointments are already set for next week. And so with the CRM, I'll be meeting the board. And the whole idea is, the question I'm having for them is, how are you going to stop me? Because I want to do this. So I want to know so that I can come back to the delegation of Tinian and make sure I polish up on my feedback to you on your questions. Yes, the goal now that we did not finish when I was secretary before is to complete with the homestead issuance on permits. And now it's to really go down to the question of, because I realize, and I know I talk too much, Senator, but I realize a lot of people, both in departments and bureaucracies, is a lot of people would tell you things, but they do not have the backup of why that statement is that way. A very good example, Barranca. Barranca has been an issue when I was here 2 years ago, and it's still an issue because somebody is still relying on a statement that has no backup. So that's what the meeting is now, is to find out what's going on with PEX, what's going on with CRM, so we can figure that out. The issue with we can't issue permits. Why can't you issue permits? Oh, because CRM doesn't want. Really? Okay, I'm gonna call CRM and ask them, why can't I issue the permits? But then I realized something. There's a difference between a permit and a permit. Some people are talking about building permit while we're talking about homestead permit in one conversation, right? So that's why I called DPW up today. And fortunately, Secretary Ray Yumo, he said, six, I've heard about that. But yeah, let me get back to you. So I called up Secretary Ray, our former senator, and I said, let's work together. Can you do this as a secretary out of your own mandate to just find a way, as a result of our discussion yesterday, to authorize permittees of homestead that you can give them permits to build without you saying there's no infrastructure. So we're having that conversation now. So I hope that based on that, I know it's a short question of yours, but it's really those homesteads. And then the next one would be Fortinian is the ranchers. I know that when we left, they were still negotiating on the ranchers, and I know that there was a decision or understanding made with the ranchers, at least with public land, and talking with our director of PAT planning. She's already that's she pretty much owns that division. She's been there forever, and she understands all these issues going on with the military and Tinian. But I believe we made a statement that we shall give the operation to the mayor, right? But now I'm going to go back based on this letter and see if we can find the best way that we can manage for the ranchers. And the reason why back then we said for the mayor is because we want to make sure that there's no other rules and regs and attorney generals getting involved with whether Cosinya have a noisy rancho par ay or often na rason na. So I think that if we can find an administrative way that we can make it so simple that it's a matter of a yes and a no, right? Because even back then when we're talking about it, statali question, kokopo famatina sa lapi par ay, right? And whether we're gonna tax that income. So I think those two, Senator. Sorry, long answer. Homestead ranchers. Susmasi.
Suswasi, thank you for that response. Again, just that response shows your willingness to be proactive, to reach out to the other entities, and that's really, I think, what all of us really need is an understanding and cooperation, collaboration, especially when it comes to the limited resources that that you are, if confirmed, will be under your purview. Um, Tazamas, again, thank you for accepting the appointment, and thank you for also being proactive with us, the members of the delegation, as well as the legislature. I know for the public's information and for the record, we have been in dialogues multiple times in the past few weeks with regards to some of the major issues and how we're gonna overcome some of these hurdles. And I think with us in constant dialogue, I think that can be achieved. And again, thank you for making the time to be here. And I look forward to showing you my support.
Thank you, Vice. Again, good afternoon, Mr. Gusuma. I know that we've discussed this in the past, and I really appreciate, you know, responding to our request to meet before this public hearing. And I keep mentioning this because even myself keep wondering, homestead program that falls under DPL, and they don't give you the opportunity, or they don't allow DPL to have road and infrastructure in place as administrative cost. We've tried that to introduce legislation, but somehow it did not go through. But anyway, I know that members of the public today mentioned about homestead program without infrastructure like power and water. But with your suggestion of issuing permit so that homesteads can be able to go in, I totally agree with that, because even with the West, I want to share this to the general public that we appropriate funding $2.5 million for West, but unfortunately it didn't go through because of the NEPA process, and and the money has to be reappropriate to something else that does not require the process. Otherwise, we're gonna lose out on that because there's timeline on those funding from CIP office. So I, you know, I've been pushing over the past 3-4 years to allow DPL to allow the homesteaders to build infrastructure there at the place, and I even
recommend if they build a water reservoir, would that address the concern of EPA? Because I know that EPA is the one that advises CRM or BCQ not to, for DPO not to allow for any infrastructure to be built at their land because of water contamination or the water contamination. But I think if agency work together to find ways and alleviate or mitigate the issue with building a water reservoir, I believe that will address the contaminants that, for example, if you're building a four-bedroom house, how many gallons of water would that require? And if that address, I think there won't be any contamination because you have the water reservoir to address that matter. So I spoke to the former administrator and we were supposed to meet, but unfortunately he passed away. Because I remember in this very courtroom, he was asked, and I believe you're a member of that of the legislature when Senator Hokuk asked whether if we build a water reservoir, would that be allowed? And he said yes. But then right after that, I read a letter telling DPO that no one is allowed to build. So I want to ask you if that one can be addressed to perhaps be secure so that our people can be able, whoever wants to build a water reservoir can build a house. Because see, right now we have Tinan have a very bad experience. If that is allowed at the West, a lot of our homesteaders will be getting a FEMA housing. Because I know back then, not everyone's going to build a concrete house. Maybe perhaps semi-concrete, and typhoon comes, 2018. These people will avail to that FEMA free housing. And the next is the CDBGDR. Up to now, a lot of them already have their deed, right? But they cannot avail to the CDBGDR because BCQ don't allow them to build a house. But if BCQ allowed them to go ahead and build, of course, NMHC will consider their application because they're allowed to build a house. But right now, there's no house at that area because of all those obstacles. So again, that's what no, that's all I ask is to communicate with BCQ, and I agree with you. Doing releasing or allowing people to come into their property and start cleaning the property rather than waiting. Because I know even if we try to find money right now, we're only going to be receiving 800,000 from CIP. And West, we requires that back then 3 years ago it's 2.5. Now I know it's going to go up. And I even inquired from Liz Belaus from CIP. That one is no longer 2.5. That one can even go up to $4 million. So to consider all this, I think it's better if we issue the permit so that they can be able to come in and clean the property, and then and if that is agreed upon DPO and basically to go ahead and build a house. If you have a water reservoir, while we're trying to find money to put infrastructure. I even mentioned that delegation, they always come to delegation because we're the one appropriating money through CFA money. But yet CUC, after we put all the water infrastructure, CUC start collecting money from residents. And I was hoping maybe after we spend those CIP, maybe we can build CUC to pay us back, so we can use our other CIP money for other priorities. But we mentioned this back then with CUC that you the one making money, not the municipality or the local delegation. So if we look at it, who's responsible for water? It's supposed to be CUC, and of course the road is DPW. But like I said, if we agency collaborate together and see how we can find ways to to alleviate the obstacle and make it happen. I think, and I have confidence in you. I work for you in the Senate, and you're very fair and very supportive person. I know that
we can make this happen. So again, I appreciate your, your time, and when we call you, you respond to our request. And again, thank you. Any other member wishes to? No one else? Recognize Senator Cobb.
Just a quick thought. No, that's great. Like getting all the stakeholders together, because you know how you have them departmentalized and in different, and then you go single out and stuff. When you get everybody in together, and what does it actually take for an initial resident, and what are the requirements? So then that communication, that transparency, where everything, all the facts and figures. So that's a great suggestion. Get all the acronyms, DQ, all these, because I'm in a situation too where I had a homestead and they say take pictures, turn it in, place in your file. And so we're just still awaiting, like, okay, we haven't gotten a call. Is it us permitters that are to come in, or they're going to inform us? So, but that's great in regards to getting all these, everybody together, and what are actually the root causes and how we can make it much more effective and efficient as far as the permits and so forth, with all the different agencies involved. So we can start building houses, because we have a lot of young kids coming to us like, man, we want land, or we need homes, especially back in our island and across the CNMI. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cobb. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Chair. I just wanted to, I think one of our public comments was very good with respect to the question on infrastructure. And I think, there's always ways around it, right? If we can't do it this way, I mean, for me, not to be political, but if Donald Trump can executive order things, I am sure we can executive order things. And for me, it's also revolving around, I can only speak on things that I can control and authorize to. Anything else outside of it, I can't control, right? So, a question was brought up today, and not going to say who, but the question was, are you seriously going to give homestead permits out without infrastructure, power, and water? Then I answered this person. This is a higher up person. I said, I'm not sure what you're asking, but isn't a homestead not supposed to have power, water, and sewer? Right? If I'm supposed to issue a permit to something that has power, water, and sewer already, then it's no longer a homestead. So I'm just saying that because maybe if people are telling me I can't use the money for operation to build infrastructure, then what if I take that entire program and turn it into a turnkey for Department of Public Land turnkey to pay for my house to build and all the infrastructure? Then now who's laughing now if I take all that money and not give you any money? So I'm just thinking, as we discussed yesterday, it's all about definition of infrastructure, definition of development, because it just frustrates me that I'm supposedly not even allowed to give the mayors of Tinian and Rota or Saipan funding to push a Barranca road, not Barranca Homestead, but Cascal. I can't even do that. That's just really illogical, and it's not even common sense. So I just think that if we start expanding on those definitions, and so that's why now with the homestead program and lease program and TOA programs with public land, working with the division directors, I'm looking at those definitions in the regulations to try and expand them. Because the Attorney General's statement to me 2 years ago was, if it's in the regs, you can do it. If it's not in there, you can't. But then again, you have lawyers who starts defining terms in the regs to their desire and not your desire. So for me, if they can't allow me to put the permits to people because it's a homestead, but if you search homestead in either DeepSeek or ChatGPT or in Gemini or in Google, whatever, a homestead is a lot that has no power, water, and sewer, right? So it's just frustrating. So that's why my answer to this person, I had the audacity and the guts to say, I'm sorry, I'm issuing them. But the comment made by our public is very important, that infrastructure needs to be placed in there. And I think we can assure them that, like we discussed yesterday, if people never settle on a land, that infrastructure will never get there. because the legislature, as we all know, will always find money, something more important than to give a place that's vacant. So I just believe in that, that with your help, if I'm confirmed, and with the help of you and all the other departments and divisions, if we're able to successfully give permits out, I am sure that in due time, those infrastructures will arrive. And just to clarify, in all the homestead now, as per all the laws you've passed up to today, the only thing that's important for permittee is I'm giving you a permit, you qualified, but you have 3 years. Just maintain that property. Don't give up. So that's all. Then after the third year, in accordance with all the laws you've passed, in 4 to 5 days, I'll give you a permit with or without infrastructure. So I think that's a good deal, right? It's a very good deal. And I'm very grateful. And I want to share with the public that I shared with the legislature that if it's any bill that it currently violates DPO regs, of course, obviously, I will contest. But once it becomes law, I will follow. So just must see. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Secretary. Anyone else? If no one else, Member Snyder? No. Thank you. Okay. At this time, all public comments are taken. Let the record reflect that all written testimonies will be included in the Senate Standing Committee recommendation report along with oral testimonies and will be forwarded before the full Senate members in consideration for confirmation. At this time, before we adjourn, I would like to extend on behalf of the members of this standing committee our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mrs. Betang Vilgomez, the appointee, Mr. Sixto Gusumer, and most especially the members of the general public for your participation and involvement during this important public hearing process. And we certainly hope that we continue this dialogue of communication between us, the elected officials, and the public to keep you abreast and informed of our current and future Senate hearings ahead that relates to public best interest. This concludes this public hearing. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn today's EAGI committee public meeting subject to your call.
A second.
Second.
There's a motion for adjournment. Was seconded. All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. This public hearing is now adjourned.